Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
We're A-Game, a 100% Black-owned company with an all-natural product and world-class customer service. We're headquartered in California, and we manufacture, package, and ship right here in the United States. We ship to more than 125 distributors worldwide. Normal processing is 2 to 3 days, and we employ virtual tracking until our product is received. So, no matter where you are in the world, here we come, and we're bringing your A-game.
Hey there, my Crimsonites, my babies, how y'all doing? Ronan set it off. Thank you so much. We got Malika, we got Sir Anthony, we got Terenzo, we got Quentin, we got C, we got Tampa, Barry, Prada, Masters. How are y'all doing today? We doing all right? Do they have an A game for women? I wish it was an A game for women. It sure ain't. It's A game for us by proxy. You doing wonderful. That's good. That is so good. So good. Y'all know that today gonna be a barn burner, right? Y'all know that though, don't you? Hey, beautiful goddess Keys. Are you new here, sweetheart? Because if you are, welcome, welcome. I always like to see new ladies. Fernando, hey. Because of course we're going to talk about Miss Ma'Khia Bryant, the young lady who was shot in Ohio by a police officer. And I actually did a couple of videos about her, and I think most people... Hey, Miss Sandra. Hey, Georgia Peach. I'm not going to forget you, sweetie. Thank you, RJ. Finally caught you live. You've been cooking lately. Thank you for the content. No problem. More than happy to provide excellent content. I care too much about y'all to give y'all crap. Y'all gonna get good content from me long as I can give it. Thank you. I don't want to say your real name, but your initials are KA for the Cash App. Thank you so much. But hey, Ian. Hey, Miss Crystal. I think most Ramadan Kareem Locksmith, I think most people understood where I was coming from with the angle that I took to discuss Ma'Khia's death. But I think some people are very new to me. Sorry. I think some people are very new to me, and they don't really understand my perspective, because I do have a unique perspective on most things. So I wanted to do this live stream because I know in the last video that I did about Miss Ma'Khia, I said I'm not gonna touch this story anymore. But here's the thing. I'm not going to talk about it in the way that most Black people talk about it in terms of race, in terms of isolating that particular situation. Because the situation was unfortunate. And I think I triggered a few people by the thumbnail on the other video. And what was on the thumbnail was not so innocent. And I think Black people need to sit down and have a coming to the Lord moment. Because whenever a situation like this happens, we forget the realities of who we are, where we live, and the dynamics that go on the ground. You understand? We have a tendency to try to forget. We want to isolate this incident and narrow it down to a racial issue. The white cop shot the black teenager. And that's all we need to know. And somehow in our collective minds, it's disrespectful to take a look at the surrounding circumstances that led up to a situation where a 16-year-old girl is caught up in something that would have these types of consequences. And because we think it's disrespectful, we don't want to talk about the surrounding circumstances. Because she was killed, that should be all that we concentrate on, not what got her killed. Because we need to narrow it down to the cop shot her, that's what got her killed. That's not what got her killed. Thank you, Romello. The community got her killed. Her family got her killed. And we need to be honest about that. We need to be honest about that, everybody. And stop being so emotional about, well, she was killed. Well, he shot her. Well, she died. I know she died. I'm not here to say that she deserved it. See, somewhere along the line, when we talk about the circumstances and situations that led up to that shooting, somehow we're saying that she deserved to be killed. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know if somebody else is saying that, but I'm not saying that, and I've never said that. Hey, Sheep. Hey, Keith. Hey, Dr. Michelle. Everybody that knew that's popping in. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you didn't already. So, somehow it's disrespectful of her, and we're saying she deserved it somehow by panning out and looking at the situation in its entirety. It's not, in my opinion, it does her death an injustice not to talk about the situation and circumstances that led to her death. It does a dishonor for her and for other youth in our communities that are in the same situations that are coming from broken homes, that have psychological issues, that have behavioral issues, that may have trauma issues, that translate into mental health issues, and we just stick our youth somewhere for the state to take care of them and think it's all supposed to work out. And what we don't do is we don't go back and look at who is failing our youth. It's us. We are literally looking for Zaddy to save us, and it's not gonna happen. Because you're more outraged that the cop shot her than you are outraged that she was going to try to kill. She was going to try to gut that girl. She was so emotionally out of it. She wasn't going to be able to think rationally, don't kill her, just stab her. No, she was going to gut that girl for all she was worth. And what would we have said then? Would she have been an innocent 16-year-old if she had actually killed that girl? See, we like to see ourselves through certain acceptable Black first narratives when things like this go down on the national stage. Now, see, all of a sudden, she's this innocent, outgoing 16-year-old. Thank you, Ruminant, for the PayPal. 16-year-old that wouldn't hurt a fly. But don't we know differently than that about our youth? And I'm not even saying it's the youth's fault, but it is our problem. It's the community's fault, the community they belong to. The school they belong to, the family they belong to. Whatever the church is, their church house, if they got one. It is a collective failing that put our young people in harm's way like that. Because we don't see to them, when they get too much for us, we ship them to Zaddy and say, you take care of them. We'll put the girls in a foster home and we put our boys in juvie and jail. And we tell the system, you raise them. Because I can't raise them. And then when the system raise them, when they institutionalized, and then they have to come out into the world institutionalized, and then they be messed up and not functioning properly, then we want to talk about how much of a strag they are. And we want to talk about how much of a F-19 he is and all of this type of stuff. In which those things have their place. But I'm not about to not look at how we getting to this point. How are these individuals getting here? See, we're going to have an honest conversation. Because we claim to love our youth only when something tragic happened to them. Thank you, Romello, again, said the courage to speak the truth. Thank you again, sweetie. Now her mama love her to death. You didn't love her enough to straighten your life out so she could live with you like a teenager. She was a 16-year-old girl on the precipice of womanhood. Who was teaching her how to be a woman? Who was teaching her? The man in the body cam video was her father, if I'm not mistaken. Am I mistaken? Somebody put in the chat if I'm mistaken about that. That the man that was helping her fight in that video, wasn't that her daddy? Hey AL, hey Dirk Lurkin, hey Black Narrative, hey everybody that's coming through. That was the foster father. A whole black man. And we gonna keep having this honest conversation, because when I say this, people are gonna be like, oh, it always end up the black man's fault. If he was part of her structure, he was part of her failure, just like her mama, just like her aunties, just like the rest of her family, and anybody that was consistently around her. A whole grown man in a situation. We want to talk about how the police officer should have had all these options to do something other than use lethal force. What options did that man have to bring her under control before the police got called? What was his options? Because see, we're not going to be able to pinpoint and nitpick and Monday morning quarterback what the police officer should and should not have done, and not point to the only other man in that video that knew them, and not talk about what kind of options to bring her under control did he have. Because if he couldn't control her, what make you think that police officer was gonna do it? We gotta start asking ourselves the honest question. He was fighting too. He was helping her fight. Then we got this narrative going on that they came to the house to jump her. No, they didn't. They came to the house to see the foster mother. And then they got into it. And even in an article that I read in the last video, the foster mother was like, well, they always kind of arguing back and forth. I just didn't think it would get that far. So it wasn't even like she didn't know them. Micaiah knew them. They was familiar with one another. They just didn't like one another. The foster mother failed her. The father, or if that's her foster father, he failed her. Her mother failed her. Her aunts and uncles failed her. The community at large failed that girl and her sister, because her biological sister was in the same foster care home. So I'm not willing to bring the narrative. I got to bring the truth. The truth that we don't want to face as black people. We don't want to turn the mirror in and say, what happened to this young girl in her life? Why couldn't she stay with her parents? The breakdown of the family. That's what everybody's missing. You want to narrow it down to the 5 to 10 seconds that police officer had to make a judgment call. And you can say he was right, you can say it was wrong. Well, he should have tased her. Do you even know how tasers work? Put a 1 in the chat if you know how tasers work. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand how tasers work. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not too sure. Because, see, I think people think they know, and they don't know. When you discharge a taser, especially the kind that police officers standard issue that they carry, it is shaped more or less like a gun, but not really. It has prongs on it, and those metal prongs are attached by wire. And those metal prongs, in order for a tase to be effective, The prongs have to contact the skin, not your clothes, your skin. All of them. If you are pumped on adrenaline at the time that you encounter a taser, it may or may not, especially if not all the contacts hit and connect with the skin, it might not have the effect that you're looking for. If you already pumped on adrenaline, we can't forget how powerful adrenaline actually is. And if you're fighting, you're full of adrenaline because it's the fight or flight hormone. It might not have worked, and she probably would have ended up being able to stab that girl anyway. Would it have been more acceptable if he had grabbed her and wrestled her down to the ground and broke her arm or punched her a few times? Because y'all would have been mad about that. If he had opted not to shoot her and had instead tackled her to the ground and popped her a couple of times to bring her under control, y'all would have been marching, talking about excessive force. You can't always tase because the tase is 50-50 whether or not it's going to have the effect you want to neutralize a person in their tracks. A bullet gonna stop you. Okay? She was put in position for Zaddy to be called to come handle it. How do you think they're going to handle it? How is it that as black people in this country, we can look and say and talk about how the system is against us, how it's, systemic and it's institutionalized, and we can talk about the school to prison pipeline, and we can talk about the crime bill of 94, and we can talk about the disproportionate number of black men in jail, and we can talk about the deplorable state of our public school systems and the neighborhoods and our ghettos and all of this type of stuff, and then think that when you call the state-sponsored Romans, they gonna come and arbiter with you with fairness and justice and light-handedness and begging you to stop doing. They were called to handle a situation, not ask you about it. When the police are called, they are called to come handle a situation, not ask you about a situation, not beg you to stop doing a situation. They're being called because you can't handle the situation. Because if you did, you wouldn't have called them to come handle it. And when they come handle it, you can't dictate how they handle it. See, that's what's wrong with black people. We think we can dictate the responses of other people, and you can't. We think we can dictate how we get responded to when we act a certain way. We think other people are supposed to take pity and be soft and have empathy and try to get your story. See, this is how we know we're in a gynocracy and that things are being run on the chaotic emotional state of women and in that feminine kind of chaotic energy, because it's only women who are in chaotic energy that think somebody need to hear our dang on story anyway. Men don't even operate like that. Women operate like that, more specifically, women that are in a chaotic state. We think that no matter what we do, somebody's supposed to be trying to hear our dang story. And that our story and how we got there is important to the consequences of right now. That police officer don't know your story, and he don't care. He wasn't called to that scene to counsel you. He wasn't called to the scene to talk you down. He wasn't called to the scene to beg nobody to stop doing what they was doing. He got called to the scene to handle a situation that had gotten too out of control for the people that was there to handle it. And so he came. So he handled it. You don't get to dictate how he did that. Is it unfortunate that she died? Yes, it is. But unfortunately, life. It's called life. Thank you, my love is divine. Thank you for that timely sarcasm. I like that. And I'm not being sarcastic. I like that. Because these are the things that we say. Thank you, J. Jermaine. So I'm in Columbus, and Micaiah's real mom is suing despite her daughters being in foster care since 07. Since 07. Wow. You ain't never took care of your kids. That's a sadness in and of itself, beloved. Hey, Father's Time. Hey, Torrance. My love is divine said he should have used the rope and lassoed the knife out of her hand. He didn't have to shoot her. Exactly. Exactly, my love is divine. This is what we think. And then we deny the reality in our faces. We know that these teenagers be out of control. We know that a 16-year-old girl is not a 5-year-old girl. We know that, don't we? Don't we know that? Don't we know that when we think back, I want the women to think back when they were 16. Didn't you know what you was doing? I knew what I was doing when I was 16. Unless you had some arrested mental development, you knew what you was doing when you were 16. You might not have had a whole bunch of foresight on everything, but in the moment of a choice, you knew what you wanted to do and you knew what you was trying to do. And you wasn't completely oblivious to all choices and all consequences. You wasn't. You knew that if I skip school and if I do this and do that, I'm probably going to get in trouble. But I'm willing to take the trouble because I want to do this over here. You know, Simi, you 16? Yeah. So, perfect. Perfect, Simi. At 16 years old right now, don't you know when you making certain choices and you kind of are aware of some of the consequences of them choices, and sometimes you make a choice willing to accept, you know what, these might be the consequences, but I'm going to do this anyway. Would I be right in that assumption? Because I want to talk to, I don't know if you are male or female, Simi. Exactly. Because all of us have been 16 if we not 16 already, like young Simi is. I remember 16. I ain't that old. I remember 16. I remember thinking, I'm going to do that. Hope I don't get caught. But I'm sure gonna do it. Tell me. You don't tell me. That's 16 is the you're a girl. Okay. All right, sweetheart. 16 is the you don't tell me age. That's the age where you be like, you don't tell me. That's the age. 16, 17 is the age where you be thinking to yourself, they don't tell me. I do what I want to do. Like I low key do what I want to do. You be thinking you be slick and you be thinking you be needing another greasing. Okay? Thank you, Y Skinner. You gonna be 16 in 2 weeks. and you at that age, ain't you, Father's time, where you gonna tell somebody you don't tell me. It is. It's the IDGAF age. That's the age. Exactly. See, we all been 16. You think you know what's going on. You think you know how the world work at 16 years old. So she wasn't so oblivious. She knew fighting, that's just what she do. But she knew it wasn't right. She knew at 16 years old, a knife is a potentially deadly weapon. You know that. That's just like a 16-year-old shooting somebody. You know the consequences of a bullet going into a human body. Do you understand that consequence? See, the only time you can question that is when you really dealing with a child. 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't actually understand that. Thank you, C. Truth. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. See, if you get a 7-year-old that find the gun in the house and play with it and shoot his baby sister, he don't know. He don't know. He didn't understand even the function of a gun or the consequence of a gun or that shooting something might kill it. He may not even truly grasp the concept of death. At 16, you're not having that problem. Unless, again, you having some mentally, arrested development issues, you're not having that problem. You can question an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, even a 10-year-old. Did you even understand that? And they might not understand it. They might literally be like, wait a minute. Dead? What's dead? You be having to explain death to kids because they don't get it. It don't even enter their mind. At 16, you're not having them types of lapses of judgment. You know, if I grab this knife and I get the jugging, she gonna die. You know what else she was used to? Not only was she used to grabbing knives, I'm gonna tell you how we fail our youth. I'm going to tell you how we fail our youth. Micaiah was used to somebody coddling her no matter what she did. That's what she was used to. She was used to that too. She was used to being able to fly off the handle. I knew too many like that. She was used to being able to flying off the handle. And then everybody gotta just take it, whatever she did or said, and then try to talk her down and it'll be all right and coddle her and, try to get her what she want, and girl, I know you had a hard life, so let me try to. That's what she was used to, and she thought that it was gonna play out that way that day. She thought it was gonna play out that way that day, and it didn't. She thought police or no, he ain't gonna shoot me. I'm gonna get this off. I'm gonna do what I want to do right here, right now. And then I could go to jail. That's probably what she was thinking. I don't care nothing about juvie. I've been in juvie. Before. I don't care nothing about them officers. I don't care nothing about them COs. Whatever. I'll fight a CO. I'll cut a CO. I don't care. That's what she was thinking. Because that's what she thought the toughest consequence would be. And it ain't. It ain't everybody else's responsibility to coddle you. Especially folk outside of your family and outside of your community. That's not the first thing they gonna go to. They gonna deal with you how you get dealt with. See, I know how it is to have a tough life. You do go through the phase of the world owe me something because I've been dealt a bad hand. The world kind of owe me. So I'm allowed, I should be allowed to act a fool a little bit. Given the circumstances of the things that I go through, I'm allowed to cut the monkey. And I should be forgiven for that because of the circumstances that I go through. And life don't work like that. It just don't. Life don't care that you had a hard life. Welcome to life. You ain't the first and you won't be the last. Hey, Miss Amanda. This is what we have. These are the tough conversations that we have to have. We be soft with them because, what they going through. And I'm not saying there's no space for the empathy, but if you gonna have empathy, you can't be an enabler. Being an enabler is not empathy. Should I repeat that? Being an enabler is not empathy. And too many times in our own dysfunction, in our collective dysfunction as a group, we think enabling is empathy and sympathy and help. But it's not. Enabling is enabling. You helping them continue on with the behavior that's about to get them into trouble. That's what you're doing. Thank you, three eyes. That's the facts. Hold the mirror up to us. Thank you so much. We think coddling is somehow helping. You enabling. All you doing is sending a message that you can do what you want to do and there'll always be a soft landing. That don't help nobody overcome none of their problems. See, the problems that Micaiah was facing may not have been her fault, but they were her problem. She had to deal with them. She would have had to come face to face with them at some point. Thank you, Miss Amanda. Said keep schooling, period. Exactly. She would have had to come face to face with her issues at some point. It's when we don't do that that causes generational curses, and for us to continue the cycles of dysfunction that we are caught in as a group. And I'm really talking to the women, because we're the ones that pass these generational curses on. We pass them on. Whether consciously or unconsciously, we do it. We have a hard life and then we try to coddle our kids. Or we know we ain't doing right by the kids, so we try to buy them. You know you ain't really raising them, so they can get all kind of PS5s and Xbox Ones and the new J's and the new this and the new that. You'll spend all your whole check on them because you know you ain't really raising them. That don't actually help them, because the rearing and raising is what they missing. So they grow up to be men that don't have leadership and SOS like Jocelyn's father that I did a show on yesterday. And they grow up to be women that don't have no sense of womanhood, structure, or order in their life. Out of order. Women out of order. That think the world with you out of order with entitlement issues. You think the world owe you because you got dealt a bad hand. And I'm telling you, I understand that thinking, because when I was young, I thought that too. Well, that shouldn't come down on me so hard if I do a little something here and there, because I'm generally a good kid and I'm not having a good life anyway. So if I cut up a little bit, I really shouldn't have nobody to say nothing to me. Not understanding that life does not work that way. It just simply does not work that way. You think it should work that way, but it don't. Something that my mama and all that stuff used to say, I whoop you because I love you. I'd rather do that than send you out there the world whoop you and you might not make it. And that's what happened to Micaiah. Nobody helped her. Nobody steered her in the right direction properly. Nobody corrected her strongly. And life came and did it. It corrected her to death. Now she can't do no more correction. There's nothing else for her to do. That's the sad part. She got taught the hardest lesson anybody ever get taught, and that's hitting that box. And all of us gonna have to get that lesson. All of us is gonna get that lesson. You better believe it. These are the questions and conversations that we're not having. And this is why these things keep coming up and keep going on. For her to have been like someone said in the chat, since 2007, your children have been in the foster care system. You have never raised your children. So the streets raised them. The system raised them. The system raised them and the system took them out. Ain't that what black women used to say? I brought you in this world, I take you out. Ain't that what our mamas used to tell us? Somebody in Generation X tell me. Am I lying? Ain't that, and you ain't heard that from your mama? I brought you in this world, I take you out. Well, the system brought them in this world and the system took them out. So I know you ain't having a problem with that, right? You let the system raise them. You let the system raise your child. And then wonder why she had anger issues. Wonder why she had behavioral issues. Wonder why she had some mental issues. Wonder why she mad at the world. She fighting everybody. She throwing tantrums. She trying to kill folks. She trying to hurt folks. Why you think she doing it? You put her up to do that. You put her up to do that. You coddled her all the way through because you didn't want to be too hard with her to really correct her, and you wasn't in a position to correct her because you wasn't even raising her. Her mama couldn't tell her nothing because she wasn't raising her. You don't have the authority to tell me nothing because you're the reason I'm in this place. You're the reason I'm having the problems that I'm having. So you don't get to tell me what to do. The other family members don't get to tell her what to do because you didn't take me in. So all of y'all can kiss my soda cracker and my accabacker. That's how she felt. The foster mama too. You ain't none of my mama. Who are you? All you gonna do is get me locked in juvie. I don't care nothing about that. We not having the discussion, but we gonna have it on Crimson Cure today. This is what happens to us when we don't have a value system. When you adopt the value system of your historic oppressor and then want justice out of that same system that has not done you nor your ancestors any turn of good, this is how we get where we get. Tell me I'm lying. We have adopted the backwards value system of a place and a people that have historically oppressed us. But then we turn around and want justice and peace out of a system that ain't never served that and ain't never said it was gonna serve that. Thank you, my love is divine. Thank you, Bishop and JT for the cash apps. This is why the 10 life values is so important. This is why understanding the concept of bioculturon is of paramount need. It is imperative that we understand these concepts not as merely theories, but applicable to life because it has been applied to us. It's not a theory. How do you think we got the value system that we have? How do you think another culture can impose it? It's not just a talking point. It's not just a cute chart. I don't know, my charts are really, really cute, but that's beside the point. It's not just a cute little chart. Matter of fact, let me put the chart up there. It's not just there for talking points. We have to actually get this stuff together individually, which will make the collective be together. Right? Because we trying to work on the collective first. No. How we change things is we change our individual selves, because The collective is comprised of the individuals. And we do not change the condition of ourselves until we change what is in our hearts. I've told you that. This is what we have to change. We have to stop focusing on the wrong things first. Who, like I asked earlier, who was helping Micaiah become a woman? Who was helping her not become the next statistic, the next teenage single mom? We don't know all her history. She might have already been touched, violated in some way, which is likely where a lot of her anger issues come from, whatever was going on in the home that made her have to be in a foster home in the first place. Who was helping her be a woman? Who was helping her with her spiritual self? Who was helping her? Nobody. Nobody was giving her the proper guidance so that she could heal, so that she could build. Who was helping her with her health? We had a 16-year-old that was severely overweight, heavy enough to handle 2 reportedly grown women in a fight. And she was handling them too. That's the sad part. We're not even dealing with teenagers that ain't quite got the size and strength of an adult. No. She's bigger than me. I wasn't being funny when I said that. She is bigger than me. If me and her hadn't gotten into a fight, I would have had to bring would have had to bring my A game to her. Cause she young and big. And I'd have had to put her down. Cause I'm old and I can't go that long. So we gonna end this quick, and it's not gonna, you be mad at me. Like you're mad at that police officer. She lucky one of them girls didn't put her down. What would she have been innocent then? If one of them, if they were so grown, you don't know what grown folks gonna do. I carry a blade with me everywhere. You can walk up if you wanna. You gonna get stuck. I ain't gonna lose no sleep. Hope you don't think I'm gonna be sad about it. You shouldn't have walked up. You run up, you get done up. I don't care. Because if you run up on me, you deserve it, because I don't pick with people. I don't go and pick with people. So nobody was seeing to her health. Nobody was seeing to her behavioral health. Who was sending her? Who was sending her to counseling and make sure she go? Who was making sure that she ate properly so that she wouldn't be as big as she was, because she was too big? Who was helping her get over the family traumas that landed her in the foster care system? Who was helping her to make sense of that? Whatever the case may be, whatever the situation may be, who was helping her navigate that and understand that and begin to overcome the obstacles that having a bad family will do to you before she make decisions that ruin the rest of her life? Who was telling her about her appearance value, how you look in the world, how you show up in the world? Who was telling her how to show up in the world as a young woman? Nobody. Who was helping her with her dwelling value? That place was chaotic. That place was a circus she was living in. They were calling the police literally every other day. I can't even fathom calling the police that many times. What you want? If I was the dispatcher, is this you again, girl? Call them again. because they needed somebody to express it to, and they did what they was taught how to do, is run to Zaddy to get your problem solved. Unfortunately, Zaddy only solved problems one of a few ways. That's the problem. He only can solve a problem one of two ways. One of a couple of different ways. He ain't gonna solve them too many different kind of ways. So you want too many different kind of ways, and he only got about 3, 4. And getting rid of you is unfortunately one of them. Just get rid of you. Unfortunately, that's one of his problem solving resolution. That's in the resolution chart. That getting rid of you is in the resolution flow chart. Zaddy got a flow chart of how he resolved issues, and getting rid of you is one of them. Is they out of control? Yes. The arrow point down. Were you able to bring them under control? Yes. No. No. Get rid of them. That's the unfortunate part. Zaddy only got a couple ways that he handle problems. See, he either throw a bag at it or a bullet at it. He either can throw a bag at the problem or he gonna throw a bullet at it. And unfortunately for us, he don't think it's worth it to throw a bag at. Our youth is not worth a bag. Bullets are cheap. He say, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. You mow them down and let the Lord sort them out. As long as they ain't in my face when the smoke clear. Long as I ain't got to deal with them. That's how he think. Long as I ain't got to do it. We can't keep looking for the state, for a nanny state. That's what they call it, a nanny state. Big government got to step into your personal life to rear your children for you. You can't be looking for them to raise your children for you, and then you get to cry about how he disciplined them and reprimand them. Told you he only got a couple of different ways he gonna do that. Throw them in the system or throw them in that grave. Which one you want? Because he only going to do 2 things. You want them thrown in the system? We throw them in the system. Y'all, you don't like the system? Throw them in that box. Moving on. Case closed. We won't hear no more. He don't want to hear that. He don't want to hear you squawking and crying and acting a fool about that. If you don't want Zaddy solving your problem, solve your own. God bless the child has his own. Solve your own problems. Let's start solving our own problems. Then you won't have to call him with his 2 solutions. He got 2 solutions. The problem, we want him to have 10 different solutions. No. He only got 2. And I don't know how long he got to demonstrate that he only got 2. He only got 2 solutions for you. He'll think of some solutions for his own. He'll throw a bag at that. He ain't gonna throw no bag at you. He gonna throw you in that system or he gonna throw you in that box. He don't care which one. Because the system makes him money and that box gets you out of his face. So he don't care which one. It's up to you. So since it's up to us, we need to make sure that we're solving our own issues. And part of solving them issues is implementing them 10 life values. We're going to have to get that together. We're going to have to get ourselves a functioning, effective, positive value system. That's it. That's all. If we don't do that, we doomed. And I don't even want to hear no more talking about it. Zaddy done already told you what he about. You the one keep don't believe in it. I don't know how many times he got to say it. I don't know how many times Zaddy got to tell you what he all about. Of course, see, and that's right it, Prodigy. Now that's an argument folks say, well, why come they can find a way to apprehend all of they folk and not us? Because the resolution flow chart for his people got more options on it. It's only got 2 for you. When we gonna understand that? He didn't have no choice but to do what he did because the first option had already been exercised. She was in the system. It didn't help. I only got one more option. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna like it, but I don't have no problem implementing it. When they hit us with the crack epidemic, it was only 2 options. You get put in the system or you get put in that box. They didn't care nothing about you had a drug addiction and how it really was a health issue and they really should have been helping you kick that habit. No. But when the opioid situation happened in their community, all of a sudden the flow chart had a lot of options. It talked about health. How can we get these people off of these drugs? Don't lock them up. It's not a criminal issue, especially for the addicted ones. It's a health issue for them. So we're going to thank you so much for the cash out. It's a health issue now. I told you that the resolution flow chart is different because it's their value system, not yours. In their value system, you don't have much value. This is why we need our own. Shout out to Father's Time, who created the 10 life value system. Shout out to that brother. A system that has been saving lives for 20 years. When are we going to look into implementing a way of living and a system of living that helps us not only to be in survivor mode, but to thrive? When are we going to do that? Because being a part of this value system, we don't have much value in their value system. Our biggest value was signed out of the books with the Emancipation Proclamation. That was our biggest, that was the time that we had the most value in their system, was when we could be bartered and sold like so much wheat. We're not in that position anymore. So you don't have any value. They did the next best thing. You're going to make us some money some kind of way and put you in this system. See what you do about that. And black women, you participate heavily. You will call them Romans show as I'm sitting here, you'll call them. For any little thing, for every little thing. It's going to start backfiring. Don't think Zaddy ever cared about you just because he used you. Thank you, Will33 said, MLK, my dream is a nightmare. None of my elders never watched it. It's on the tube. Check it out and your analysis. Okay, I'll check that out. I just need y'all to understand. We have adopted their value system, a system under which we have little to no value to them. This is why I'm really talking about the 10 life values. This is why I really talk about it. Check my playlist. Check my 10 life values playlist. Because we got some things to discuss. And we going to have the real discussion here. It's got to start somewhere. And I'd rather be the change I want to see than wait on somebody else to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. I want to thank everybody for coming through and supporting. With the cash apps, with the super chats. Thank you so much, everybody. This show has been brought to you by A Game. Something else I'm going to shout out Brothers Father's Time for. Not only bringing a system of the 10 life values to get your life in order, but also for the men specifically, a product that helps you get your health in order by addressing poor blood flow in the body. Now, this is only for men. 21 herbs, no fillers, no sugars, no artificial ingredients. So if you want to know what's in it and you want your package of A Game, then what you want to do is go into the description box and hit the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. That is agameherbal.com. And when you get ready to get your box of A Game, put in a promo code Kendra10 to get a 10% discount. That's KENDRA, the number 10, and you can get yourself a 10% discount. Okay? And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.